So turning first to the settlement agreement, exactly a week ago, we announced that we had reached a settlement agreement in respect of all legal cases that had affected our Zambian operations in respect of certain alleged legacy issues. While the settlement involved no admission of guilt by any of the parties, the agreement was critical to ARC for the following three reasons. Firstly, it avoided the company being, being stuck in lengthy court cases, potentially for many more months, excluding any appeals process, which could have taken us into 2023. Secondly, it saves the company needless legal expenses. The only people getting rich out of this were the lawyers. And thirdly, critically, it allows the company to move ahead with a potential commercial transaction with a major mining company without losing any critical assets. And that is key. This was first and foremost a commercial decision, one that will reap dividends whichever strategic direction ARC takes going forward. Further, as you would expect, we have ensured the agreement we have signed up to prevents any of these issues re-emerging in the future. And to be very clear, the small-scale pilot plant at Calabar, which is the principal asset being seeded, was of no interest to us. The lack of available high-grade material meant we could not run the plant on an economically viable basis. Remember, too, that the key reason ARC entered into Zambia some 4 years ago was to progress the very exciting exploration footprint, not to become a plant operator over something that had already been half constructed by the time we acquired control of Zamsort. Other than the 8 kilometers small mining and small exploration license that will be ceded, all of our key exploration areas remained under our ownership and control. This is a really, really important point, and I think there was some confusion about this with some investors. So there's everything to play for in terms of all of the fantastic assets we have under our ownership. So where are we now? We are currently in the process of submitting what is known in Zambia as a consent order. In fact, I think there are 2 consent orders, which will be submitted to the relevant courts and signed off by a judge, which will give them the force of law. This is a process that is quick and seamless, and we expect this to be completed very shortly. We therefore now have a really clear runway going forward to progress a commercial transaction. So turning to the commercial opportunities that we're looking at, as we've disclosed in the past, we are in advanced commercial discussions with the major mining group. The key remaining obstacle were the legal cases, which required considerable further DD on their part. It's fair to say that without these cases, we would more than likely have already signed what I believe would have been a highly attractive transaction for ARC. Conversely, it is reasonable to assume that with the removal of all these legal cases, we can progress rapidly to executing the very same significant transaction. The removal of the legal obstacles has elicited further interest from another major mining group, and we will explore this, though we're mindful that we do not want to delay unnecessarily the proposed transaction that has been tabled. This means that there are currently 3 majors who are interested in progressing a deal with us. That is an enviable opportunity for any junior mining company. Last year, we completed a high-resolution geophysical airborne survey over 5,000 line kilometers, airborne magnetic and radiometric survey. These were flown, and we are looking for, in terms of the results from this, which are about to be completed, we're looking for new targets, and we're also looking for a confirmation of our existing targets, which will help inform us in terms of any future potential drilling that we will do. And of course, we have been repeatedly asked to share this with the interested parties that we're in discussions with. So this is going to be a very interesting piece of data, new data, the geophysics data that we will have very shortly, and we will announce the outcome of that when this study is completed, which we expect very shortly, i.e. within the next sort of fortnight or so. Turning to CASA, we've agreed a short extension, as you've seen, to the Raclette transaction. Again, if you want to see where they update where they are, Raclette is a public company, and there's quite a lot of updates on their website in terms of this. They are in the final process of getting all the various approvals in Canada by the exchange there. And so we've agreed a short extension to the middle of March, which will then see ARC receiving its first tranche of $750,000 on signing and a further $750,000 within 90 days of signing. ARC will also receive a $3.5 million loan note and various other milestone payments going forward, assuming CASA goes into commercial production, which is very much the plan by RACLA. And that could alone be worth up to $25 million if all things go well and they're in production. Turning to our cash reserves, and by the way, I should have said at the outset, both Remy, our CFO, and Vasily, our chief geologist, are on the call, and for any questions, they will jump in as well. We're all together here. Our current cash reserve position is strong. We have just shy of $2 million, and that's before the $1.5 million due from CASA and before any cash from a future commercial transaction. So in summary, we're in a fantastic position. Our legal cases have been removed, clearing the way for hopefully a very significant commercial transaction that would transform our fortunes. We will look to release further geophysics results, which I think will only confirm what an amazing footprint we have, and a cash position that puts us in a very strong position for the year ahead. So with that, Sasha's helping us manage the questions. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Nick. We've been emailed lots of questions from the investors so far, so I've collated these. A few technical ones to begin with, I think. So Vasily's on the call as well. So the first one is, can we release the new airborne survey for investors to see?
Look, the answer to that is we will, but it's not been completed yet. As I said earlier, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what it comes out with. And look, what we're hoping for is not only that it confirms our existing targets, but hopefully that it will also potentially show any new targets that we may have missed. But Vasily, do you want to comment on that?
Good morning, all. Yeah, I mean, as Nick said, we're expecting, we've seen bits and pieces come through. We're expecting the final report to be finalized shortly and signed off on, and then we'll be able to report back. But it's looking good. That's all I can say for now.
Okay, thank you, Vasily. So, have any majors been in contact since the settlement agreement on Friday?
Yes, they have. I mean, principally one, and that was I think on the day that we announced, and they're very pleased with the outcome, obviously.
Okay, Nick. Related to that, why was the RNS relating to the settlement agreement released so late on a Friday evening?
Yeah, look, that's a good question. So there's certainly people wanting sort of any sort of strange theories. There is absolutely nothing that occurred other than these agreements needed to be signed by the various parties in jurisdictions as far as the US, Zambia, the UK, South Africa, etc. So a lot of signatures, and they all had to be on the same page, including Dubai, I should add, and with the various time differences. So it just meant that the document was finally signed, I think, at about 5 or thereabouts that afternoon. And we consulted with our advisors, and the strong advice was that we should put it out immediately, given the price sensitivity of the agreement that we had just signed, and so we put it out after the market had closed, rather than wait for a Monday morning at 7 a.m. But so there is absolutely no other answer to that than simply just logistics and timing in different jurisdictions.
Thank you, Nick. A question relating to the new government in Zambia and whether it's likely to be any impact from that.
Look, I mean, I wouldn't want to comment on government that of a country that we're operating under, other than to say, we have made sure that we've reached out to the relevant government ministers and officials, and I think you've seen the coverage of their intentions, and they want to they want to put governance as a very, very high priority, which I think is fantastic, and I think bodes well for Zambia going forward as an attractive destiny for mining companies. It had more of a perhaps mixed reputation in the past, and I think the government is intent on removing that those negative perceptions and really ensuring that it operates to the highest standards of governance, and that is absolutely key for any investor in any country. So I think that's to be welcomed. I did read the other day that I think they are putting a moratorium on issuing new licenses for a month or so until they finish a review of Cadastra and how that operates. And so all of these things are very good moves by the government. I'm heading out over the weekend, and I'll be meeting a number of government ministers and officials. We have an outstanding board of directors at ARC, and our colleagues Valentine Chitalu and Caleb Mulenga are all extremely competent Zambian businessmen, and also are very well connected in Zambia with the government. And so, I think we're in an extremely strong position to really forge good, constructive links with the new government.
Thank you, Nick. Moving back to operations, this question's concerning Muswema, one of the targets. So at the AGM, Nick mentions that Muswema is our number one target now. Is this more prospective than Chiesa East? And are there plans to drill this first?
Look, again, I mean, I think it's premature to get into too much detail ahead of the outcome of the geophysics data. And obviously, that is very important to us. And we're going to put a lot of value there in terms of what they say about that. But look, Vasily, do you want to comment on that?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, based on the multi-element characterization study that we did, based on the soil geochem from the samples at Anglo Asset, Muswema did come up as the number one target, and the intention was certainly to drill there last year. Unfortunately, due to COVID-related issues, the company that was engaged to do the geophysics, only was able to fly in October, whereas they're meant to have flown, in May. So, we lost 5 months there. So as a result, we wanted to wait for the geophysics data before going in there to make sure that the geophysics and the soils all tied up and sort of pointed in the right direction. So yes, according to the soils, it was the number one target. And, in terms of prospectivity, personally, I think it's the same. Slightly different locations, but geologically very similar.
Thanks, Vasily. Again, on operations, could you provide an update on drilling for last season? And will we be drilling Muswema to 500 meters plus?
Look, just before Vasily answers that, I think I'd want to couch that within the framework of the discussions we're having, because with interested parties, clearly, if we, as I hope, when we are able to finalize this transaction, obviously that will be out of our hands. But look, obviously, we have to prepare that there may be no transaction and we get drilling ourselves. That would be prudent by any management. So on that basis, Vasily, do you want to comment?
Yeah. So last year we again had issues with COVID-related issues. We got a late start, and obviously with the legal cases, we had some distractions there as well. So we only did about 2,500 meters. In terms of Muswema, will we drill 500 meters plus? We will know that in the next month or two. Once we get the data back from the geophysics, we'll sit down and start doing our planning. As Nick mentioned, we're flying down over the weekend. And the plan is to actually sit down with the team and start doing preparations and then putting that across to the shareholders to review, the board, and then we move forward from there.
Thank you, Vasily. Again, on Shares East, has there been any progress with the plant?
Look, there has been progress on the plant, and we are talking to a party that has developed proprietary technology that we are working together on. So that looks quite encouraging. However, I really have not wasted a lot of time on that issue, because obviously the discussions that we're having, do not involve the construction of any plant, and so in that sense, I have put the plans for the plant on the back burner, given the discussions and the priorities of our potential future partner.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Next question: what is the current financial status?
Sorry, just repeat that question.
What's the status of the finances? I think the question's trying to ask.
Well, I presume you mean our cash position. Remy, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, sure, Nick. Hi, everyone. Nick alluded to it in the statement. We are just shy of $2 million of cash. That's ahead of the deal with Rakla. That's ahead of a potential major deal. And so, to be very clear, which we've received that questions before by email, there is no need for placing this year.
Thank you, Remy. Next one. There is a very large electromagnetic anomaly and associated copper in soil anomaly at Mambezo, which I have not seen discussed anywhere since it was identified as an initial target. Is this still a potential target, or has it been dismissed as something else?
Look, I think, again, I'll hand over to Vasily. I recall that being an inclusion at depth at Nyambezo. But Vasily, do you want to comment?
Yeah, that's right, Nick. It's a large magnetic anomaly, which we believe is related to an inclusion at depth there. Look, it certainly still is a target. It does appear to be relatively deep. So it's something that we are still looking at, but we haven't done any work on that per se, apart from soils over to see if it could be quite close to surface. So the magnetics certainly point to something being down there at depth, and it's something, as we all know, we've got so many targets, and we could get very lost in trying to chase all of them at once. We just don't have the sort of resources at the moment. But it still is a target, and it hasn't been dismissed.
Thanks, Vasily.
What are the plans for drilling this year? How many rigs? Are we going to 500 meters depth again? Will we have a major on board to drill this out in multiple rigs to release its true potential?
Look, I think that question has been answered already. So, the priority is obviously to get this transaction done, and that essentially takes any future drilling out of our hands and any sort of cash commitments out of our hands. So it's a great position to be in, but we have to get there. Assuming we get there, that answer then goes to the major who will take over the drilling, and that can work extremely well. One of the other companies I'm a non-exec director of, we have an operation in Colombia where there are two majors involved, and that works well. But the local management is essentially taken out of the decision making, or many of the decision making points when it comes to drilling. So we can't second guess that. The plan B, as I said earlier, assuming we don't affect any transaction, means that yes, we will be drilling and our own drilling, and as Remy indicated, we have sufficient funds to fund that for this year, and obviously, over the next few weeks, and the geophysics outcome and so on will inform us as to where we drill. But events may overtake us in that sense.
Thanks, Nick. Okay, this question is a little longer. Given the recent settlement of the legal cases and the ongoing CASA sale, is the board happy with the level and quality of due diligence carried out in respect of the potential partners, buyers, and vendors that ARC engages with?
Yes, look, we are satisfied with that. I mean, we pay a lot of attention, as you'd expect. We're all pretty experienced executives, having worked on much larger deals in the past. And so, yes, of course, we do our due diligence. CASA is not an easy asset to sell. I mean, it's simple as that. The Eastern DRC has its issues. But look, I think with Rackla, we have a really keen and committed buyer. And, as I say, if you go to their website, you can see the regular updates that they're involved with. I mean, I think their funding has essentially been done, and they're waiting for some box ticking to be completed in Canada by the authorities there, principally the exchange, I think. So these things, inevitably take longer than one thinks. But they seem very confident, and we'll give them another few weeks.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Regarding the legal cases recently, who's footing the legal bill in respect of the recently settled claims?
So each party will cover their respective costs.
Okay, thank you. Another one, can the board, quite a few questions relating to this, so I've tried to merge a few. Can the board confirm the remuneration details in respect of services provided by Rothschild & Co. as financial advisors?
Look, the agreement we have with Rothschild, and we're in constant dialogue, as you'd expect, with them. This is a success-based fee, so there's no ongoing cash outflow. I made sure of that, and as and when we effect a transaction, Rothschild will be paid a success fee based on that, and it's a modest one, I have to add.
Okay. Can you make any comment on what form a commercial transaction is likely to take?
No, I can't. I think it'd be unwise to go public on that. So, but rest assured, we will be trying to affect the best possible outcome for our shareholders. We are extremely value oriented, and the deal that we're currently looking at is very attractive, but it would be premature to say anything else.
Thank you, Nick. Okay. Now that the court cases have been settled, what's holding up the commercial transactions?
Nothing.
Okay. How many majors are we in discussions with currently?
Look, the principal discussion is with one major. There are two other majors that have reached out, and we are engaging with them, but those are early stage discussions still, but we'll have to see. So 3 in total. I would say 2 are majors, and one is what I call a mid cap.
Okay. And another one, just you previously compared us to the Voisey Bay scenario when that was sold. Could this still be the case for ARC?
Yes, it could. Look, I think that sulfide discovery was very significant. Vasily, do you want to talk to that?
Well, I mean, as we said in the past, it's the ground that we have is world class, and we still believe that. And I think the fact that you have all these groups approaching the company and wanting to find out more is a testament to that.
All right.
Okay, so what else is there? I'm sorry, there's a lot of repeated questions here.
Don't worry, take your time, because I know people are texting in questions as we're on this call. So
yeah. Could you please give some more details on the 3.5 million loan note related to the CASA deal? Is Rackler the counterparty, and what is the duration?
Remy, do you want to comment on that? I don't believe Rackler is the counterparty on that loan note, but Remy, do you want to comment?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, the loan note is with Golden Square. It's collateralized by Lysis shares, and so once the Rackler deal is complete, we are owed this money, and if it's not paid, it's collateralized, and we have a charge over the shares of CASA, if even that collateral is not even provided.
Thank you, Remy. Another question on news flow. So when will we be further news flow updates?
Look, as I've said previously, we are not a company that, like some of our competitors, that create news flow for the sake of news flow and just keep churning out meaningless sort of data. I know it's frustrating to some investors who do want to hear from us on a regular basis, and I share your frustrations, and obviously the last year has been particularly difficult, given we were mired in a sort of legal quagmire which wasted everybody's time and money. We are, however, obviously out of that now, so that bodes well. But look, we are not going to, as I say, create news flow for the sake of it, and I'm not going to give a running commentary on the ongoing commercial discussions that we're having. That is just not the way transactions are done, and you have to rest your faith in your board and management that we are eking out the best possible transaction for you, for our shareholders, and we will deliver on that. And when we have something to say, we will say it. But as I say, we're not going to give an ongoing running commentary. So please, avoid emailing me directly, because I will not be able to give you any other commentary than saying, the discussions are ongoing. And so when we have something to report, we will report it, and we will go public. Thank you, Nick. There's a lot of questions which are probably repeated here. Given the beginning of the drilling season is imminent, is there a time constraint for any commercial deals, given the logistics involved in a major mobilizing a drilling campaign for the season? Look, there are some time constraints, and so the rainy season hasn't finished yet, but clearly anybody wanting to drill out will be needing to think about rigs and mobilizing rigs and so on. So, and I know one discussion certainly with one of our interested parties, was certainly expressed a strong desire to get going sooner rather than later. So we'll have to see. Okay. How many majors are we in discussions with currently? Yeah, I think the question's already been answered. We're in discussions with 3. Thank you. And you may have answered this already, but can we have an investor call every month? The answer to that is no. There's no need to have an investor call every month. Obviously, if we're drilling, that we certainly will do, but if there's nothing to update, there's no point in having a monthly call for the sake of it. As I said earlier, we're not going to give a running commentary. When we have something to update, we will update people. Thank you. And look, I think you guys have to drop off close soon. But final question: will any potential deals be put to a shareholder vote? Potentially, it depends on the nature of the deal. So again, we'll have to see what sort of is ultimately tabled. But we'll have to see on that. Okay, and I think that covers pretty much everything, Nick. Okay, great, Sasha. Well, look, thanks for managing it, and thanks everybody for joining. And we look forward to updating you as soon as we can. I think it's an extremely exciting time for all of us. And thank you for all attending this morning, and we'll hopefully be in contact soon. Thank you.